For me to believe in a meltdown, a 20% plus drop in home values, we'd have to see something Great Depression, Great Financial
Well,
Crisis like
right.
happen to the
Or
economy.
like a mass layoff.
This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 275 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
And I'm going to be up, Nicole, for the summer
For the summer.
with you and CT.
We should be playing that music. What is it? School's Out for Summer? Was that Dazed and Confused?
Oh, I love that movie.
Me too.
That was a great movie.
Good movie.
I don't even think it's politically correct for me to say my favorite line from the movie, the Matthew McConaughey line, when he's like leaning up against the wall and he says, makes that comment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which one I'm thinking about?
No, but I know I'm gonna watch it this afternoon.
He says,
no, don't say it if you don't want to say it.
Yeah, it might get me in trouble. If you know the comment, or you know the quote, put it down
you may
below.
already get in trouble if people know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm just thinking of a quote from a movie. I don't think you could make that movie today, or many movies. All right.
I don't think you can make many movies today.
What you can make today is outrageous statements about the housing market. Elon Musk on Twitter this week, commercial real estate is melting down fast. Home values next. Okay, so he was replying to David Sachs, who was updating previous tweets from March and April of his own. His update this week on that tweet thread was this: update, LA office towers are selling for less than the amount of debt on them. This is true for San Francisco and other big cities. Okay. He was quote tweeting, Matt Roberts, LA office towers have on average 230 in debt per foot. The only building to sell this year went for 154 per foot. That's a lot of water. LA's biggest landlord, the Canadian giant Brookfield, has defaulted on more than $1 billion of loan this year. So there was a story last week I talked about in the hot sheet on Bloomberg that went through LA's downtown on these office towers and how much less they were either worth or selling for compared to the debt on them or what they had previously sold. The numbers were staggering. And this story is, like David Sachs says, this story is true in San Francisco and many others. In that same Bloomberg, actually, no, in a Fortune piece last week, there was a recent study that says office towers in New York City by 2029 are going to be worth 44% less than they are today. And so in big cities, I'm in agreement. Office buildings are one of the worst assets you could be holding right now. It costs way too much. We've talked about this, Nicole, you and I, to take an office building and turn that back into residential. And then, is that really, the way offices are set up, is that really going to be that inviting for somebody to go and move into that without some real construction? And then those are going to all be luxury and so on and so forth. So that's not the point. We know where office building is heading. It is melting down. Those values are dripping away. But Elon's quote saying home values are next. What do you consider a meltdown in values? These commercial real estate, to me, that's a meltdown. 20, 30, 40% values going away overnight. Meltdown for sure. What would you consider a housing value meltdown?
Well, in my mind, a meltdown would be exactly the same thing, right? I mean,
Same.
if we're dropping by like 5%, even 10%, I wouldn't consider that a meltdown.
No.
But certainly if we're truly comparing apples and apples, I'm assuming that he would mean the same for residential too, that the meltdown, that's what his meltdown is. And I just can't even imagine that it would ever, especially I can only speak about our area, that it would ever decrease like that.
Yeah. So, listen, in the 2000s, home values went up over 80%. Okay. And that would be that's U.S. home values went up over 80%. Then when the great financial crisis happened, everybody hears about the 40% drop. So they did melt down from a peak that was unsustainable, right?
Well, because people couldn't afford them. I don't know that we're
Exactly.
necessarily talking about
Now,
people not being able to afford,
but that's the argument. I think some who aren't as educated on this market, obviously Elon, I would never
say he was uneducated. Never.
I mean,
You
I would
would
never
never say
test
that.
Elon in a lot of things, but
Never.
But the state of the current U.S. housing market is something I look at every single day. I'm not looking how to get to Mars. Although the more you do read headlines, you might want to go to Mars someday.
I
But
don't know. I
that's
like grass.
beside you like the grass. That's
Yeah.
beside the point. So looking at the housing market every single day, you can't compare this to the great financial crisis. And now the argument that people would make, Nicole, is that home prices are getting so high that they're unsustainable, that people can't afford them. Yeah, so
Right.
new people coming into the market, I get that. But the current state of the market, and I tweeted Elon just to kind of bring into perspective these points that are happening in the market right now. 42% of homes do not have a mortgage. More than 85% of current mortgages are below 6% fixed. So 85% of the 58% that do have a mortgage, they've got a much lower mortgage than you can get today, being above
Right.
7%. Also, this year we're trending towards the all-time low in new listings. So after 10 years of not having enough inventory, we're compounding that problem,
Right.
worsening the inventory crisis by not bringing new listings onto the market. So for me to believe in a meltdown, a 20% plus drop in home values, we'd have to see something Great Depression, Great Financial
Well,
Crisis like
right.
happen to the
Or
economy.
like a mass layoff where people now can no longer
Exactly.
afford what it is they currently can afford.
That would be the thing. You'd have to have we're right now at historic unemployment levels, right? 50-year low for unemployment. You'd have to see that jump up near double digits. Obama time unemployment levels coming out of that when he took over, it was like 11%. You'd have to see levels like that happen right now. Who knows? Maybe they could. They're they're at 50-year all-time lows right now, and a lot of people are still hiring. So I don't know. Uh, I don't see home values dropping. Now, people will take some one-off instances. They'll say, well, Austin just dropped 10% last year, or San Francisco dropped 10% of values, or Boise, Idaho did. And you've seen in places like Austin, for example, those home prices hit a 10% bottom, and now in the last couple months in the spring market are climbing back up. So a meltdown is, to me, you move past 10% and you keep
Yeah.
pushing through the
Well,
20%
and
level.
again, I mean, but I also think you have to look at, not just volume levels though, but you have to look at units level too. Obviously, if you're down by inventory, the amount of units that are selling could throw a little bit off on your average price too. But um, yeah, no, I don't think there's a meltdown. I don't. I again, 40% seems crazy, especially like you're saying too. I mean, a lot of people entering the market now that I'm seeing are like is a lot. There's still a lot of cash out there. There's still a lot of cash.
Be the better agent. Everyone is telling you what to do, and we actually show you how to do it. That's in our BAMX community, where we have BAMX courses every single month from our internal team. We have live streams and a Facebook community where we are sharing things that is nowhere to be found on the internet. We also have massive discounts on all of our BAM creator courses. Join BAMX today using discount code REALWORD to get 10% off the annual subscription. Use the code REALWORD to get 10% off your BAMX subscription, the annual subscription today.
But
I mean, as we're recording this, there's a headline on CNBC. Home price declines may be over. And this is because S&P Case-Shiller just came out with March's numbers. So now for 2 months straight, month over month, February, March, the gold standard Case-Shiller says that home prices have gone up after, a 7 month over month decline when interest rates went up. So after seasonal adjustment, prices increased nationally 0.4% in March compared with February. The 10-city composite gained 0.6% and a 20-city composite rose 0.5%. But now Case-Shiller is saying that you could potentially see home prices continue to go up into 2025. And that mostly has to do with how little inventory we have, certainly in
right.
the affordable price categories. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a convenient thing to say when you're not looking at it every single day, but I don't think home values are anywhere close to melting down.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would I would agree that office values are going to continue to melt down because people just don't want to work from the office anymore.
right. For
Not
sure.
saying that's good or bad, but
Yeah. Well, and Elon likes he likes shock value too. So
you
there's
like
lots of
shock value.
comments underneath. I know you do.
What was your favorite comment?
No, there wasn't a favorite comment. It's just it looks like everybody comes out of the woodwork when Elon makes a tweet and throws in their 2 cents somewhere. One lady was talking about a boxed home that are on the rise, and it's all very interesting, and you learn a lot.
Somebody says not in Florida. Things have leveled off, but have barely dropped. We know in the Northeast, Connecticut, home prices haven't come down. Case Schiller
Right.
says nationally they're going up. I mean, some of these comments are wild.
They're wild. They're wild.
Autonomous cars will render distance less important and drive
I
down peak
just
costs.
it's just I
Autonomous
think it's
cars
just
are a little while away. Listen, I've got a Tesla. I love my Tesla. Elon did a great job. I'll never own another car besides an
great job
electric
with your
car.
Tesla. Yeah.
But I could tell you it isn't close to driving me all over without me paying attention. It's not close yet.
Have you tried?
I've given it a shot.
Oh my god, I would never.
I've given it a shot.
It's like giving my 16-year-old the keys to her car.
She have a car?
Scary. Yeah.
You bought her
Scary.
a car?
For her
Where'd you get her?
birthday. It was my father-in-law's. It's a 2007 Chevy Impala.
Nice. What was your
No
first car?
shit. I had a Peugeot. It was a gold Peugeot.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it was the most beautiful. It was my dream car. I wanted it forever. Yeah, so she got my
I,
father-in-law's
I,
Impala. It's like a big old boat going down the road. It's the best thing.
yeah, that's a
She's
big car. I
definitely
had a big car.
she's definitely not rolling around in a BMW, or I feel like all the kids these days have Wranglers. The amount of Wranglers on the road is
Really?
like, oh my gosh, yeah. They're all over the parking lot at the high school.
Yeah, I
So
like a
she's
big car for your first car.
yeah, so she's gonna be pimping around in this big black Impala. It's the same. It was born the same year she was. So
There you go. Age
yeah,
together.
it was perfect. She's happy. I'm happy, and she got a new job. She just got employed over the weekend too. So we're really making strides in our lives. But anyway,
I had something in the 90s. It was a Mercury Sable.
a
It was a big
Sable. Was
Mercury
it
Sable.
like that? I feel like those Mercuries were like that green color. Was it
Yeah, it was a
green?
green teal. Exactly it. With the tan interior. It was huge.
Oh my god, those and they were the same as I feel like they were wasn't Toyota? There was a Toyota that was similar to those too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it was that
the
teal.
good old days. Yeah, we had Saabs up here and where we lived. A lot of
Oh,
people we called them snobs. Everyone drove around their snobs.
you were in a much snobbier town than I grew up in.
Definitely a
So,
little bit more bougie, but
all right. Well,
anyway.
good luck to all the 16-year-olds out there on the road.
Yeah,
Don't put it through a telephone pole like I did with my first car.
please don't.
No. All right. Off of the Elon stuff.
Well,
Let us know.
this one leads nicely in though. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
talking about inventory.
And let us know what your first car was. I'd love to know. All right. So real estate agents wonder if inventory levels will ever return to normal. Okay. So the pandemic definitely changed the real estate market. Todd Alperin, a Better Homes and Garden real estate agent in southern New Hampshire, said coming into the pandemic, we had low inventory environment. We had it for, it's kept getting worse because of the building for the last 10 years. And the pandemic intensified the inventory shortage, and it has really created major housing issues for the market. According to Mike Simonson, the president of Altos Research, to see housing inventory fall throughout February as it has this year is pretty unusual, because usually you get that uptick in inventory in February,
Right.
in March, April, May.
Yep.
As the spring market takes hold. We haven't seen that. Okay. We've seen it continue to go down. We know that new listings are trending towards their lowest level ever. Inventory is falling pretty quickly now, which is really a surprise. My expectation that is, if rates stay higher in the 6s or 7s for a few years, over that time, we'll get a bit more inventory each year and we'll work our way back to normal. That if interest rates stay higher, that's a weird comment, because
very weird.
if interest rates stay higher, I would expect you'd continue to see people sit on their great
Well,
rate and not move.
unless he's saying that because the rates get so high, things will probably sit on the market. So naturally things won't maybe sell, and then inventory will gradually increase. That's the only thing that I could think of that even means.
I guess, but you actually nailed it earlier. You said it would take mass layoffs. That's what it will take for inventory right now in the next 2-3 years to come onto the market. It's going to take a major disruption in the job market, meaning a lot of your friends, a lot of your family members will lose their job. If you want high inventory in real estate market and lower prices, it means a lot of the people you love and care for are going to be out of a job, collecting unemployment, and trying to get a job at 70 or 60% of what they were being paid prior. That's what it means to have high inventory and lower real estate prices. So take your pick.
Right.
Do you want to go to Thanksgiving this year and be eating out of a can and be depressed because everybody around you? I know a
Out of
lot
a
of people do
can.
like those. What's the stuff out of the can people like? The
Uh,
Jello.
the Jello? What are you
The
talking
red
about?
the red
Like cranberry sauce?
cranberry. The
What?
cranberry.
Oh my lord.
Looks like
We're
Jello.
skipping over the turkey and going right to cranberry sauce?
You might
I
not
thought you
have a
were
turkey.
I thought you were talking about
If
spam at first. I was
if
like, "All right, I
if
mean."
people want high inventory and
Right.
low real estate prices, you
Oh,
may
of
not have a
course.
turkey come this Thanksgiving.
Well, that's just it too. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait till the prices drop." Like, do you want the prices to drop? Don't you want a bright and prosperous future? Like, even if you buy now, don't you wanna see it increase? Yeah.
Last 4 decades, home prices have gone up every single decade, over 30%. And so it's going to happen again this decade. I mean, I know we're already up almost 40%. It's just going to happen. And for you to get some big meltdown, like we talked about before, or even a lot of inventory, because everybody's sitting on these low interest rates, it's going to take an economic meltdown that then leaks into real estate. Housing Wire's lead analyst Logan Motoshami added, for almost 10 years now, inventory has slowly been falling lower and lower because people get a house with a fixed mortgage. And over time, their income typically increases, but their shelter cost remains the same. So it becomes a really good deal for them, and even a better deal when it's 2.5%, right? Inventory is higher than it was last year, but we are working from all-time lows. The way that inventory will grow is if mortgage rates stay high enough for long enough and homes take longer to sell. So he's on the same, boat as Simonson from
Right.
Altos Research, where it's
Mhm.
like you get 7% that just sits there year after year after year. Eventually, buyers, there's not going to be enough buyers anymore. They're going to tap out.
Right.
Inventory sits. But I just think people will take their homes off the market in that scenario. And I know Logan has said it many times too, what you said, which is where you'd have to see people start to lose their jobs. Now, if interest rates stay high for a long extended period of time, that could be, an indication that people are going to be laying off if the Fed continues to keep rates high, that, businesses won't have as much money to invest, which means that over time they'll have to lay off. And so we'll see what happens. There's supposedly a debt deal coming this week. And if that comes to fruition, maybe we'll be able to breathe a sigh of relief and avoid an economic collapse. All right. The
All right.
collapse of the agent could be coming.
Uh-oh.
A lot of people ask Tom Ferry that. So racket number 3, let's react to this Tom Ferry question about what AI and all this stuff's going to do to the agent.
This is a question I get all the time. And in my opinion, the answer is, of course, yes, not just as I'm biased, but I think about it this way. No different from a robot that might be able to perform the surgery a little bit better or be a little more precise than the actual surgeon. The surgeon is going to be there to make sure that everything is right. That could be the role of a real estate professional 30 or 40 years from now, where maybe AI and a robot is doing a lot of the mundane tasks, the sort of industrialization of a real estate transaction. Maybe that's not going to be done by you anymore. But what is going to be done by you is the conversations with the client, right? It's the guiding of the customer. It's looking into their eyes and seeing their emotion and making sure that you have the empathy and the ability to connect with them and help them make good decisions. The actual sausage making of the transaction, you're not going to be involved with. All that's going to be gone. It's going to be you and the client. And that is always going to be our place.
You and the client, the people that are talking and consulting and really digging into
I
those
like it. No more
conversations.
sausages. We're not making sausages anymore.
No, I mean, geez, the amount of sausage I've made in the last decade plus, it
Yeah?
blow your mind, Nicole. A lot,
Blow my mind.
lot of sausage now. Yeah, and I think, you've seen this with the top 10, 20% of agents and teams across the country where they're not really spending a lot of their time in the sausage anyways. They're spending their time in front of clients, in front of consumers, in front of home shoppers, and they are either outsourcing or bringing inside, into their internal team, the administrative work. The administrative work is going to be the big disruptor, right? And so that will be disrupted in a big way with AI. But now here's the other part of it. That agent who just relies on the low-hanging fruit, the deal that's easy to do because they were able to go and unlock a lockbox because they pressed accept on showing time, that's all going to get automated as well. Okay, the ability for AI to answer questions. Hey, what are the taxes on this?
Right.
What's the insurance going to be on this?
Yep.
Can I see the home between 12 and 4 tomorrow? AI. Okay, I'd like to see it at 2:30. AI, here's the, put your license, show the home. So we're talking no agent. Now I've seen the home. Okay, now I'm interested in the home. Now agent steps in. And so for those agents that don't like that, negotiation process, the conversation after text message after text message of positioning the deal, of just getting ready to strategize how they're going to do the move and what they're going to need and the connections they're going to need to make this move happen. And all of these little minutia details about the community. The agents that don't like that and just like to lean into the easy deal, lockbox, contract, fillable forms, go to inspection, those agents are going to be out of a job. And the agents that like to have a lot of conversations, that actually like people, are going to be the ones that continue to move forward. Nicole, your take.
No, I 100% agree. I guess I disagree a little bit on, I do like going to showings. I think that a lot of things can be figured out at that showing. I think a lot of the conversations that you're saying are going to happen afterwards happen at the house. How we're going to approach a show or an offer, or, hey, what are the things in this house that, could help us negotiate the price down? I mean, I do still think that there's a huge I agree with you in terms of setting up the showing, and that anybody can open up a door, although I sometimes think that that's the hardest part of our job, is just getting a damn lockbox open. But at the end of the day, I think that there is still a huge value being at the house. Again, I was just showing a house over the weekend, and we were able to have conversations with the neighbors, and there were so many things that were, we were able to walk the neighborhood because it was a beach community. So there's so many things that are happening there too. But at the end of the day, yes, I mean, that's where our value is helping them feel comfortable with the purchase, having them feel comfortable with the process, but also alleviating a lot of that stress. I mean, we're not saying it's going to be an easy move, but, obviously we're here to give them the resources that they need in order to make it as easy as possible.
Agree that you, Nicole White, have a lot of value on a showing. I just think that those are going to be the agents that are left.
Yeah.
And
Well, I wish
because
they were the only agents sometimes
I know,
currently out there.
but you said, when you started the comment, you said, I enjoy being at the showing, talking about yourself.
Yes.
Not every buyer enjoys agents being at the showing.
Right.
A lot of buyers do, and a lot of buyers see the value in that, but not every buyer. Okay. And so this is where that AI is really going to disrupt that area, that segment.
No, I
of
agree.
the market.
I think the problem, though, I think the buyers that don't want an agent to be there just haven't had a good experience with a trusted ally. So they think that with an agent being there, it's going to be this, sort of, that they're not going to be on their side. I think that's the biggest mind shift too, is like meeting the right agent, trusting the right agent, where now you depend on them to be at the showing because you now understand their value. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think what we talked about last week, and if you missed last week's Real Word, go check it out, where there are less agents in the business. That is something that you've got to watch out for. That's something that, as AI takes over, NAR better watch out for it. I don't think, if you're an agent listening to this, you probably don't have to watch out for it. You're going to be fine. But NAR should watch out for it, because you're probably going to go from 1.5 million to 900,000 agents, and you might not get back up over 1 million in the new world. So,
Right.
Agree with TF. Agree with you.
Always agree with TF. Yeah.
A lot of good points. Let us know what you think in the comments. And next week, Nicole will be doing the show together.
I know. And every week going forward for a bit.
As long as the new house doesn't blow up, I'll be there for the summer.
Jesus Christ.
But you think it'll be good to go?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole has been working tirelessly on my new Connecticut house, and
it's going to be great. It's great right now. It's great right now. Yep. We'll see you on Saturday.
I'll see you up there.
It's exciting.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Keep it real.
See you guys.